My brothers and sisters, listen to me. There comes a moment in every believer's life when moving forward is not enough. You've been walking, you've been pushing, you've been fighting, but God didn't call you just to move. He called you to ascend. You see, when God starts rearranging your life, He's not just shifting your steps, He's elevating your spirit. What looks like a transition is actually a divine promotion. What feels like trouble is really transportation to the next realm of your destiny. Don't mistake movement for promotion. Many people are busy moving, but not everyone is being lifted. When God promotes you, He doesn't ask permission. He breaks limitations, He silences critics, and He positions you in places you weren't qualified to enter, but graced to dominate. This is not the season to crawl when God has given you wings. This is not the hour to settle when heaven is calling you higher. Every tear you cried was watering the seed of your next dimension. Every trial you faced was shaping the strength for your next assignment. So today, don't just move forward, prepare to be elevated. Because when God promotes you, it's not a step, it's a shift. He's taking you from ordinary to anointed, from tested to triumphant, from surviving to soaring. Promotion comes through preparation, not position. We live in a world obsessed with titles, applause, and status. People chase platforms before they build foundations. But in the kingdom of God, elevation doesn't begin in public, it starts in the private places of your preparation. God doesn't promote based on popularity, He promotes based on process. Before He crowns you, He must first crush you. Before He reveals you, He must first refine you. Because true promotion isn't about climbing ladders, it's about carrying character strong enough to handle the weight of destiny. When God prepares you for promotion, He often hides you. You'll find yourself in seasons where it feels like no one sees your effort, no one values your faithfulness, no one recognizes the sacrifices you make. But understand this, hidden seasons are holy seasons. When God hides you, He's protecting you from premature exposure. You are not being overlooked, you are being developed. David wasn't promoted because he wanted the throne. He was promoted because he was faithful with the sheep. Before he ever held a crown, he learned how to carry a sling. And sometimes, God will let you practice with sheep before He lets you lead people, because He wants to make sure your heart can handle leadership before your hands hold authority. Preparation is not glamorous. It's often lonely, quiet, and painful. It's the space where God strips away your ego and shapes your endurance. You can't rush this process, because every moment of your preparation is molding you for where you're going. You can't walk into a higher realm with a lower mindset. God will allow circumstances to test your patience, your obedience, your humility, because He's not trying to punish you, He's preparing you to reign. Every rejection, every delay, every closed door is not a denial, it's divine development. The position you're praying for requires a version of you that's still in the making. Promotion through preparation also means God will test your stewardship. If you can't be faithful with the little, you won't be trusted with the much. We want influence without discipline, power without purity, and leadership without servanthood. But in God's economy, the road to promotion always passes through humility. Jesus Himself, though the Son of God, humbled Himself and became obedient even unto death. And it was after obedience that God exalted Him and gave Him a name above every name. That's the order: obedience before elevation, preparation before promotion. The problem with many of us is we want the blessing without the breaking. We want the crown without the cross. But God doesn't promote people who skip the process. He promotes those who allow the process to shape their character, refine their motives, and strengthen their faith. Sometimes your preparation will come through pain. You'll wonder why you're stuck in the same place while others seem to be moving ahead. You'll question why you're working harder but seeing less. But what you can't see is that while they're getting attention, you're getting anointing. While they're building platforms, you're building endurance. And when the time comes, the difference will be undeniable because platforms can fall, but preparation produces permanence. God is not interested in promoting you for a moment. He's preparing you for a mantle. The mantle of purpose carries weight, and if you haven't been prepared, that weight will crush you. That's why he takes his time. That's why he allows certain doors to stay closed. That's why he says, not yet, even when you feel ready. Because he knows the stage that awaits you requires strength you haven't yet developed. You're not waiting on God to promote you. God is waiting on you to finish your preparation. Don't despise the days of small beginnings. The little things are training ground for big things. Every unseen act of faithfulness is a seed in the soil of your future promotion. Keep showing up when no one notices. Keep serving when it's inconvenient. Keep giving when it hurts. Because when preparation meets divine timing, promotion is inevitable. When God decides it's your time, you won't have to fight for the position will call for you. Doors will open that no man can shut. Opportunities will find you because your preparation has made you ready to receive them. People will think you came out of nowhere, but you'll know you didn't come out of nowhere, you came out of preparation. So stop worrying about who got there before you. Stop comparing of your journey to others. Your timing is sacred. Your process is customized. God is preparing you for something greater than a title or a platform. He's preparing you to carry his glory in a way that reflects his power and sustains his purpose. Promotion is not a destination. It's the natural result of divine preparation. And when you've been prepared by God, you won't have to prove yourself. The oil will do the talking. Your process is proof that you're being elevated. The road to promotion in God's kingdom is rarely smooth or simple. It's the rough places, the painful pauses, and the silent seasons that prove you're being prepared for something higher. Many people confuse pain with punishment, but pain is often the evidence of divine progress. When God begins to elevate you, he doesn't just lift you up, he stretches you, and stretching is never comfortable. It means God is expanding your capacity to carry what he's about to place in your life. You can't carry new glory with old strength. So he takes you through a process that enlarges your faith, deepens your trust, and matures your character. Every process has a purpose. The very things that frustrate you, delay you, and test you are shaping the foundation of who you're becoming. God never wastes a struggle. Every tear you've cried, every disappointment you faced, every time you felt overlooked or forgotten, none of it was in vain. Heaven was using your hardship as evidence that promotion was on the way. The process is not proof of God's absence. It's proof of his investment. He is too committed to your calling to let you arrive unprepared. You may be walking through the fire, but that fire is refining you. You may be standing in a storm, but that storm is strengthening you. You may be enduring silence, but that silence is sharpening your sensitivity to his voice. In the process, God often hides his purpose so that your faith can be proven. He doesn't always explain the why, because he's developing your trust. Faith that only functions in clarity is not faith, it's comfort. Real faith grows when you can't see the next step but still choose to keep walking. The process will test what you believe about God and about yourself. It will expose insecurity, strip away pride, and force you to depend on him like never before. But that's the point. He's not trying to destroy you. He's trying to transform you. When Joseph was thrown into a pit by his brothers, sold into slavery, and later imprisoned for a crime he didn't commit, it looked like his life was falling apart. But in reality, his process was proof that elevation was on the way. Every betrayal was positioning him closer to the palace. Every injustice was pushing him toward influence. The pit was necessary to prepare him for power. That's how God works. He allows detours that develop destiny. What looks like a setback is often a divine setup. We tend to celebrate outcomes, but God celebrates obedience. He is not impressed by how fast you get there. He's focused on how well you handle the process. Can you stay faithful when the promise feels far away? Can you keep serving when no one applauds you? Can you remain humble when people misunderstand you? Those are the tests of elevation. The way you respond in the middle determines how high you can go in the end. If you resist the process, you forfeit the promotion. But if you endure the process with faith and obedience, you step into a level of blessing that preparation alone could never give you. Sometimes the process isolates you. You'll notice that when God gets ready to elevate someone, He often separates them first. Abraham had to leave his family. Moses had to flee into the wilderness. David had to hide in caves. Even Jesus spent time in the wilderness before he began his ministry. Why? Because elevation requires focus, and focus often requires isolation. God removes distractions so He can refine your direction. Don't mistake separation for rejection. It's a sign that you're in transition. He's moving you from one dimension to another, and not everyone can go where you're going. The process also exposes the motives of your heart. You'll discover if you truly want God's will or just the benefits of His blessing. When the applause fades and doors seem closed, will you still worship? When the results don't come fast enough, will you still believe? God uses the process to purify your motives so that when He promotes you, your heart remains pure enough to handle power without pride. Promotion without process leads to pride. Promotion through process leads to purpose. Every level of growth comes with a process. The caterpillar must endure the cocoon before it becomes a butterfly. The seed must be buried before it can bloom. The gold must be heated before it shines. Likewise, your process is not burying you, it's birthing you. You are not stuck. You are being shaped. You are not forgotten. You are being formed. So don't despise your process. Don't curse the season that's crushing you, because it's creating something divine inside of you. The weight you feel is the evidence that something greater is coming forth. The process is your proof. If you were not being elevated, you wouldn't be under attack. If you were not on the verge of promotion, the enemy wouldn't be fighting so hard. The very pressure that's pushing against you is confirmation that heaven has already approved your next level. Hold on through the process, because when it's over, you won't just come out, you'll come out promoted, purified, and powerful. Divine shifts require letting go of familiar places. One of the hardest truths to accept in life is that growth demands separation. You cannot step into the new while clinging to the old. When God calls you higher, He will often ask you to release what feels comfortable, predictable, and safe. The places, people, and patterns that once fit your old season may no longer fit where He's taking you. Every divine promotion comes with a divine disconnection, because elevation always costs comfort. Letting go doesn't mean dishonoring where you came from. It means making room for where you're going. Abraham had to leave his father's house before he could step into God's promise. Ruth had to leave Moab before she could find her destiny in Bethlehem. The disciples had to leave their nets before they could follow Jesus. You cannot receive what God is preparing if your hands are still holding on to what He's already released. Sometimes the familiar place is not bad, it's just no longer blessed for your next level. The truth is, God will never take something away unless He plans to replace it with something greater. But before the replacement comes, there is a season of release. That's the hard part, because release feels like loss. It feels like confusion. It feels like you're losing control. Yet what you're really losing is limitation. Familiar places make us feel secure, but they can also become cages. You can't fly if you're afraid to leave the nest. God will sometimes make your comfort zone uncomfortable just to push you out of it. When He wants to grow you, He disturbs your normal. The divine shift doesn't always come with explanation. God rarely says, "Here's exactly why I'm moving you." He simply says, "Go." And faith responds, even when the details are unclear. If you wait until you understand everything, you'll miss the window of opportunity. Divine timing doesn't wait for human comfort. When God says move, obedience is your only safe response. Because obedience in uncertainty is what unlocks clarity in destiny. We love the idea of new seasons, but we struggle with the process of transition. We want resurrection without crucifixion. We want breakthrough without separation. But there is no promotion without pruning. When God begins to shift you, He cuts away what no longer serves your purpose. That might be relationships that drain you, habits that hinder you, or mindsets that limit you. And though it hurts, pruning is not punishment, it's preparation. God removes what cannot grow with you so that you can bear more fruit in your next realm. Letting go of familiar places also means releasing the version of yourself that belonged to that place. Sometimes the hardest thing to leave behind is who you used to be. The timid you, the fearful you, the version of yourself that survived pain but never learned to thrive. God says it's time to outgrow that. You can't take an old identity into a new anointing. What worked in the last season won't sustain you in the next. God is calling you to operate at a higher frequency of faith, confidence, and obedience. Every divine shift requires trust. You have to trust that God knows what He's doing even when you don't. You have to trust that. The same God who sustained you in your last season will sustain you in the next. It's easy to have faith when everything feels familiar, but true faith is forged in the unknown. It's when you step out of the boat and realize that even on unstable water, His hand is still steady. Peter could have stayed in the boat, but he would have missed the miracle. Likewise, some of you are staying in places that feel safe but stagnant. God is calling you out not to sink but to soar. You can't move into your higher realm while still clinging to what's beneath you. The mountain you refuse to leave becomes the prison that holds your potential. God will sometimes separate you from people you love, not because they're bad, but because their season in your story is complete. It doesn't mean you've outgrown them in worth. It means you've outgrown them in purpose. Some doors close because the destination ahead requires a different atmosphere. Every next level requires a new circle, a new mindset, and a renewed commitment to obedience. The familiar will always call you back. It will whisper, "Stay here, it's easier." But destiny doesn't grow in ease. Destiny grows in obedience. The Israelites were delivered from Egypt, but their hearts were still trapped there. They longed for the familiarity of bondage instead of embracing the freedom of the unfamiliar. Don't make that mistake. Don't let the comfort of what was rob you of the promise of what could be. God can't fill a heart that's full of yesterday. So, when the divine shift comes, move. Even if you're trembling, move. Even if you don't understand, move. Because the same God who's calling you out is already waiting for you in your next dimension. Letting go is not losing, it's trusting. It's believing that where He's taking you is greater than what you're leaving behind. The unfamiliar may feel risky, but it's the only place where faith truly lives. God is not just changing your direction, He's changing your dimension. And you can't rise while still rooted in what used to be. Let go, step out, and watch God lift you higher than you ever imagined. God uses pressure to produce promotion. Pressure is one of the greatest tools in God's hands. It is uncomfortable, it is heavy, and it is often misunderstood, but it is necessary. Nothing great is ever formed without pressure. Diamonds are made through it, gold is purified by it, and character is revealed under it. When God is preparing to elevate you, He allows the kind of pressure that doesn't make sense to your mind but makes purpose in your spirit. You begin to feel stretched, challenged, and pushed in ways that expose the limits of your strength, but that is exactly where God begins to show you His. Pressure reveals what's inside of you. When life squeezes you, what comes out tells the truth about your foundation. God will never promote you beyond the capacity of your character, so He uses pressure to prove you ready. It's easy to have faith when everything flows your way, but pressure exposes whether your faith is built on feelings or on trust. When God allows the weight to increase, He's not trying to break you. He's building you to handle the next level of responsibility. Every great calling carries great pressure, and those who are called to high realms must be strong enough to bear it. In the natural world, a seed cannot grow without pressure. When planted, it's buried in dirt, pressed down by soil, and hidden from sight. It experiences darkness before it ever sees light. But it is in that dark, pressured place that transformation begins. What looks like burial is actually planting. And the same is true for you. What feels like the weight of your circumstances pressing down on you is really the hand of God preparing you to break through the surface. If the seed could talk, it might complain about the darkness, but the gardener would say, "Hold on, something is growing." That's exactly what God is saying to you under pressure. Hold on, something is growing. Pressure also refines your motives. It separates those who seek recognition from those who seek revelation. When the heat is on, you find out whether you're chasing the platform or the presence. God cannot promote someone who will worship the blessing more than the blesser. So He turns up the heat until everything superficial burns away. Pressure makes you pray differently, think differently, depend differently. You stop relying on people's validation and start leaning on God's affirmation. You begin to understand that the oil doesn't flow without crushing, and the crown doesn't come without a cross. Some of the greatest anointings in Scripture were birthed under pressure. Think of Joseph in the prison, Daniel in the lion's den, or Esther facing the king. Their elevation didn't come from comfort, it came from courage under pressure. God used impossible situations to prove their faith and position them for purpose. The same is true for you. The pressure you're under is not punishment, it's positioning. It's pushing you out of your comfort zone and into divine capacity. When life presses you, heaven is proving that you can carry more than you thought you could. Pressure also produces perspective. It teaches you to see your situation through the lens of faith instead of frustration. When you start realizing that every challenge carries a hidden blessing, you stop asking, "Why me?" and start declaring, "Use me." You stop running from pressure and start embracing it, knowing that it's the evidence of promotion and progress. Pressure breaks off pride, sharpens focus, and deepens dependence. You cannot rise without resistance. The airplane only lifts when it pushes against the wind. Likewise, your spirit only soars when it pushes against trials. If you look closely, you'll see that pressure is the place where God works His greatest miracles. When the Israelites were trapped between Pharaoh's army and the Red Sea, pressure made a way. When the widow had nothing but a jar of oil, pressure multiplied it. When Jesus hung on the cross, pressure produced salvation. Every breakthrough in the Bible came through somebody who refused to break under pressure. And if you can withstand this moment, God will turn your pressure into promotion. You might feel like everything around you is caving in, but that's not the end, it's the transition. Pressure always comes before expansion. It's the labor before birth. It's the furnace before gold shines. You're not being destroyed, you're being defined. God is molding your spirit to match the size of your next assignment. The very thing that feels like it's crushing you is cultivating strength you didn't know you had. When the promotion comes, you'll realize that the pressure was the price. So don't despise the pressure. Embrace it as proof that God is still working. The heavier the weight, the higher the purpose. Every time you feel pressed, remind yourself that God is trusting you with something valuable. Diamonds can't form without pressure, and destinies can't rise without trials. What you're carrying is too important to come easy. Stand firm, breathe deep, and let the process do its work. Because when the pressure lifts, you won't just come out promoted, you'll come out polished, prepared, and powerful. You're not stepping forward, you're stepping higher. When God begins to move in your life, it's not just about progress, it's about promotion. There's a difference between walking and ascending. Moving forward means staying on the same level but gaining distance. Stepping higher means changing dimensions. God doesn't want you to just keep going in circles, working harder but not rising higher. He wants to take you beyond motion into elevation. This is not just another chapter, this is a new realm. When you step higher, everything around you starts to shift. The air changes, the view changes, the people around you may even change. Because what worked at one level may not work at the next. When God calls you upward, He adjusts your atmosphere. The higher you go, the thinner the air becomes, and not everyone can handle that altitude. That's why God sometimes separates you during your elevation. He's not isolating you. He's insulating you for the next level of your calling. Stepping higher means walking in new responsibility, new wisdom, and new faith. It's not just about doing more, it's about becoming more. God didn't bring you this far to keep you repeating old lessons. He's inviting you into maturity. When the Israelites left Egypt, they weren't just walking out of bondage, they were walking up toward promise. But not everyone who left Egypt entered the promised land. Some kept walking forward but never stepped higher because they carried old attitudes into a new assignment. They had the movement, but they lacked the mindset. God is saying, I don't want you to just move, I want you to elevate. Elevation starts within. It begins in the heart before it ever shows up in your circumstances. You can't step into a higher place with a lower way of thinking. That's why God renews your mind before He releases your miracle. He changes how you see yourself, how you see your struggle, and how you see Him. You start realizing that the challenges that once intimidated you are actually invitations to go higher. The storm that scared you yesterday becomes the wind that lifts you today. The pain that once broke you becomes the platform that builds you. When you step higher, you start understanding that faith is your staircase. You won't see every step clearly, but you'll trust the one who told you to climb. God rarely shows the whole plan. He simply says, come up higher. And that's where courage is required, because higher ground always comes with higher pressure. It's easy to walk on flat surfaces. It takes strength to climb. But the climb is where your capacity grows. Every step you take in faith develops new muscles of endurance, discipline, and trust. The higher you go, the stronger you become. Elevation also means exposure. At higher levels, there's less room to hide. More eyes are on you, more weight is on you, and more responsibility rests upon you. But God never promotes you without preparing you. The same hands that lifted you are the hands that will sustain you. Don't fear the visibility of elevation. Embrace it with humility. Remember that God didn't raise you to show off your power. He raised you to show forth His glory. You're not being elevated to be seen. You're being elevated to serve. There's also warfare at higher levels. New levels bring new devils. The attacks may intensify, but so will your anointing. The enemy fights what he fears, and if he's fighting you now, it's because he sees what's coming next. Don't let resistance make you retreat. Resistance is confirmation that you're moving in the right direction. Eagles don't fly away from the storm, they use the wind to rise above it. You are being called to that same mindset. Stop complaining about the wind and start using it. Stepping higher also means leaving behind the unnecessary weight that keeps you grounded. Fear, doubt, bitterness, and regret cannot fly. They're too heavy for your next level. Before you rise, God will ask you to release. Some doors only open when your hands are empty. You cannot grab the new if you're still clinging to the old. Every step higher demands a surrender deeper than the one before. When you realize that you're stepping higher, you stop living like a victim and start walking like a vessel. You understand that your elevation isn't just for you, it's for everyone connected to you. God promotes you so he can work through you. Your new level is meant to bring breakthrough to others. You are a carrier of purpose, a representation of his power, and a reflection of his promise. So don't minimize what's happening. This is more than a season of change, it's a season of ascension. You're not just taking steps, you're gaining spiritual altitude. You're moving from faith to faith, from strength to strength, from glory to glory. Every act of obedience lifts you higher. Every test you endure strengthens your wings. Every yes you give to God becomes a step upward into destiny. Keep climbing. Don't get distracted by the noise below. Don't be discouraged by how far you have to go. You're not stepping forward, you're stepping higher. And when you reach that next realm, you'll understand that every struggle, every tear, every sacrifice was preparing you for the view you're about to see. God didn't just bring you here to move, you were chosen to rise. When God opens the door, no power can close it. There comes a point in your journey where human effort reaches its limit and divine favor takes over. You can knock on doors for years with no response, but when it's God's appointed time, one touch of his hand will open what no man could ever unlock. The doors that refuse to move before will swing wide, not because of who you know or what you've done, but because heaven has issued a command. When God says yes, no devil in hell can say no. His authority overrides every opposition, and his timing cancels every delay. Many of us spend our lives trying to force open doors that were never meant for us, while ignoring the quiet seasons when God is building us for the door that's already assigned to us. The doors God opens don't require manipulation, begging, or compromise. They require readiness. When he opens a door, you won't have to push. You'll simply have to walk through it. That's why he spends so much time preparing you. He's not just preparing the opportunity, he's preparing the you that will walk into it. Because if you walk through the right door with the wrong heart, it will crush you instead of crown you. Every closed door you faced until now wasn't rejection, it was redirection. Sometimes God closes doors to protect you from premature access. You might have thought you were ready, but God knew there was more growth needed, more humility to learn, more wisdom to develop. He never denies what he intends to deliver. He just delays it until it won't destroy you. The very door that seemed locked yesterday will open effortlessly tomorrow when you're mature enough to handle what's behind it. Timing matters to God. A door opened too soon becomes a trap, but a door opened in divine timing becomes a testimony. When God opens the door, he also removes the opposition that tried to block it. Every lie, every betrayal, every setback that stood in your way suddenly loses its power. The same people who once said you'd never make it will have to watch you walk through in victory. Not because you fought them, but because God defended you. He doesn't need permission from people to bless you. He doesn't need a committee's vote or the enemy's approval. He opens doors that no man can shut, and he shuts doors that no man can open. That's why your confidence should never be in connections, it should be in covenant. When you understand that your door is divine, you stop competing and start trusting. You stop comparing your timeline to others because you realize your door has your name on it. What's meant for you can't be taken by anyone else. It's sealed by heaven and delivered by grace. Even if others get there before you, they can't take what belongs to you. God's favor doesn't run out. When it's your turn, the door will still be there, waiting for your obedience to align with his timing. But remember, when God opens a door, it's not just for your comfort, it's for your calling. Divine doors are always connected to divine purpose. The opportunities he gives you are platforms to glorify him, not yourself. So when you walk through, walk in humility. Stay grounded, stay grateful, stay focused. Don't get so caught up in the open door that you forget who opened it. Because the same God who opened it can also close it if pride takes root. Promotion in the kingdom is sustained by obedience, not applause. Sometimes God opens doors that don't look like blessings at first. They might lead through valleys, challenges, or responsibilities that stretch you. But if He opened it, He intends to bless you through it. Every open door doesn't always lead to ease, it leads to purpose. David's door to the throne opened through years of battle. Joseph's door to leadership opened through a prison. Jesus' door to glory opened through the cross. Don't misinterpret the struggle behind the open door. If God opened it, it will work for your good, even if it comes with a cost. You'll know it's a God door because it won't require you to betray your values to enter it. You won't have to force it, fake it, or manipulate it. It will come with peace, not pressure. And when you walk through it, you'll realize that everything you endured before was preparation for what's on the other side. Every no was leading you to this divine yes. Every delay was setting the stage for this breakthrough. The waiting wasn't wasted, it was woven into the timing of your promotion. So stand firm in faith. Stop worrying about who shut the door last season. Stop crying over opportunities that passed. If it was yours, it would still be open. If it closed, it wasn't meant for you. Lift your head and get ready, because God is about to open something tailor-made for your next dimension. You won't have to chase it, it will find you. And when it does, walk boldly, because the one who opens it will go before you. No man, no demon, no circumstance has the power to close what heaven has decreed open. When God opens the door, step through it with praise, because that door isn't just access, it's evidence that His promise is still alive and your promotion has arrived. Every step, every tear, every test you faced has been leading you to this moment. You thought you were just surviving, but God was setting you up for promotion. This wasn't just a journey forward, it was a climb higher. Every delay was a divine setup, every challenge was a classroom, and every ounce of pressure was proof that heaven was preparing you for greater. You are not who you used to be. You have been refined in the fire, stretched in the process, and strengthened through faith. Now, you stand at the threshold of a new realm. When God promotes you, He doesn't ask permission. He doesn't check with your critics, consult your past, or wait for the right conditions. He simply declares, rise. And when He says, rise, no force can keep you down. The doors that once denied you will now recognize you. The places that once rejected you will now make room for you. What was meant to bury you has become the soil that birthed you. You're not just moving forward, you're ascending. This is your moment to let go of fear, release what's familiar, and step into what's divine. You've been prepared in private for what God is about to reveal in public. The same pressure that almost crushed you has qualified you. The same tears that watered your pain have watered your promise. This is not the end, it's the elevation. So stand tall, child of God. Square your shoulders, lift your hands, and declare over your life, I am stepping into my higher realm. Because when God promotes you, it's not just a change of position, it's a change of dimension. You're rising above the limits that tried to hold you, walking through doors that no one can shut, and stepping into purpose like never before.